Hey guys, it's Wayne Santos, one of the editors over at CGM, and for this week's Sound Off, I'm going to be sounding off against play styles. Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a different sort of discussion. I myself am the guy over at CGM that's playing and reviewing Alien Isolation, and I've been noticing, that there's been some wild variance between what some of the other reviewers have been saying about the game. I find one of the most interesting comments, one of the most interesting negative comments about the game to be that some people say that the game is too long. Now, because I am playing this game for review, I both understand and yet at the same time don't completely agree with this sentiment. Because it seems to me that one of the things that you have to keep in mind with a game like Alien Isolation is that it is a survival horror game, and therefore a lot of the fun comes from the tension and the scares and all that sort of thing. And this pretty much runs counter to the play philosophy that you have as a game reviewer. It's like, when you get a game as a reviewer, you've basically got an editor breathing down your neck saying, we've got to get this review out ASAP, so you've got to finish this game as quickly as possible, so just crank that mother out so that you can write your review. And that's fine when you've got a deadline and, there are readers that want to read the review, but for the average player, that's not necessarily how they're going to play the game, especially a horror game. I mean, with horror games, it brings up that old expression, familiarity breeds contempt. And what I mean by that is, if you play a horror game for 6 to 8 hours straight, all of the things about that game that are scary are going to gradually become familiar and then perhaps even become annoying if you're trying to beat a game as quickly as possible. Versus if you play a horror game the way it was intended, which is almost more episodic. You play it for 2, maybe 3 hours at a time, and then afterwards you think to yourself, okay, I am a little freaked out now, this is very, very tense, I need to de-stress, maybe I'll quit for the day and pick it up again tomorrow when I'm in a better mood. And that's the way most people are going to play horror games. When you're a journalist, you don't have that luxury. You'll be sitting there thinking, I'm dying over and over again on this one segment, and I have to finish this game by tomorrow. This is pissing me off. And that is going to probably color, it's like the rest of your attitude towards what happens in the game. So what I would like to tell people who are, worried about these comments about Alien and, whether or not the game is too long, just think about your playstyle and think about the fact that this is, in fact, a horror game. You don't want the horror to lose its effectiveness. You don't want to sit there and, just play the game for 8 hours nonstop and, get so familiar over one extended session that all the little tricks that the developers have gone through are no longer having an effect on you. I mean, that is pretty much like watching a horror movie 3 times in a row. It's like, nobody does that. And it should be the same with horror games. You should enjoy it for what it is in short spurts, and when you think that you've had enough for the day, maybe that should be enough. And maybe you should revisit it another time. So that's all that I want to say to the players. It's like, I believe that, Alien is a long game. It's well over 10 hours, but for a game that's $60 in Canada, which is actually $10 lower than what they're pricing most premium AAA games in Canada, that's actually a fair amount of value for money. And for somebody that wants to enjoy being scared for a good long time, I would actually say that's a pretty good deal. Now, I'm not putting in my final verdict yet since my review is not done, but I would say don't worry too much about the game being too long, because odds are you're not going to try and finish it in one session anyway. See ya!